How's it going, everyone? Blake here, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to finally do my first mock draft of the offseason. Normally, every year I do about 3 to 4 different mock drafts, but normally that's just something I throw together on Final Cut Pro that's like a 2 to 3 minute video. But this year, everyone's doing these mock draft videos using the Draft Network. It's a great mock draft machine. I actually got the, $30 for the year where you can do custom mock drafts, where you can trade picks. There's a lot of great draft information, so I thought I'd, buy the subscription pass. So if you guys like these mock draft videos, I can make these, in the future, doing trades and everything. So today, we're going to be doing just 1 through 32, how they are, no trades, nothing like that, even though the NFL draft, as always, is always exciting, so there's likely going to be a lot of trades in the first round. So I can pretty much guarantee that 1 through 32 is going to look nothing like this. So for the sake of this video, we're going to do no trades, but like I said, I have the subscription, so moving forward, we're going to be doing mock drafts that have a lot of trades in them. So if there are certain teams you think would make great trade partners, drop a comment down below which teams you think are going to be making trades, and in future mock drafts, I might be doing some trades with those teams. I want this to be as interactive as possible, so drop comments down below with what teams you think are going to be making trades, and in future mock draft videos, we might be seeing those teams making trades, and I'll be giving my in-depth thoughts on what that potentially can mean. As always, though, just a warning that this is a mock draft, so for the most part, I might get the first pick, the second pick right. There might be a few right picks scattered in there. The draft is going to look nothing like this. This is just how I'm doing it. This is how I want to do it. It's all for fun. This is nothing serious. So if your favorite team chooses a player that you don't like, don't come at me. Don't hate on me. Like I said, this is just a fun mock draft. Don't take it too seriously. This is just, as of February 9th, how the draft might go. So without further ado, let's get this mock draft underway. Well, I think the easiest pick so far of the NFL draft, and the one that I think is 100% guarantee, that's going to be Trevor Lawrence. He goes #1 overall. I know that there are people out there that are talking about, can the Jags potentially go Justin Fields? No. If you're smart whatsoever, you take Trevor Lawrence. That's the easy pick. Now, I do think that this next pick should be a fairly easy one, too, for the Jets. I do think they go quarterback. I think that they're going to end up finding a trade partner for Sam Darnold. I do like Zach Wilson. I will say this. I do like Zach Wilson as a prospect more than Justin Fields. I believe the upside is higher with Zach Wilson. I think Justin Fields might be a little safer of a pick. So, ultimately, I do think the Jets go with Justin Fields here, #2. But I wouldn't be shocked if Zach Wilson somehow finds his way as the #2 quarterback taken off the board. I also do think that in this draft, we are going to see a lot more trades than normal. I think a lot of teams are going to be trading up to get quarterbacks. I wouldn't be shocked if there are 4 quarterbacks taken in the first 4 picks. I wouldn't be shocked if teams are trading up to get offensive linemen, if teams are trading up to get wide receivers, because this draft is pretty loaded out of those 3 positions. So again, I don't think this is how the draft is going to look 1 through 32. I think there's going to be like 3, 4, maybe 5 trades overall in the first round. So stay tuned for that. But like I said, for the sake of this video, I'm going based off the teams that are currently, slotted to pick here. The Dolphins is where things get really interesting because they obviously can go a lot of different ways. But I think for them, the smart move is to, add another playmaker for Tua. So it just comes down to who do you think the better wide receiver is? I had Jamar Chase as wide receiver 1, a year ago. But after what we saw from Devontae Smith this year, it's really tough to make the case for someone else. So I got them going with Devontae Smith. And plus, we have that Tua-Devontae Smith connection that they had back at Alabama. Falcons, they're an interesting team too because, they could use a quarterback. I'm not exactly sure what their plans are with Matt Ryan. Are they going to trade him this offseason? Are they going to let him ride out a few more years? But I think this is the year where you take a quarterback, develop him for a year or two, again, depending on how long you have Matt Ryan, or depending on if they trade Matt Ryan this offseason. So I got them taking Zach Wilson. Again, he's my #2 quarterback, but falling #4 to the Falcons, I think that's going to be a good pick. At #5, I think this should be an easy one for the Bengals. Joe Burrow got killed out there this past season. He was getting lit up on every play. They need a tackle desperately, and Penei Sewell, I mean, you can make the case that he's the best overall prospect in this draft. He's the best offensive lineman I've seen in recent memory. I think had the Bengals finished #2 or #3 in the draft, they'd be taking him there. So the fact that they likely can get him at #5, I think that's a huge steal for them. If you've noticed anything about the Eagles in years past, it's the fact that they have absolutely no weapons, because every year somehow every wide receiver, every tight end, every running back they have is always injured. I think they desperately need a wide receiver. I know they took Jalen Reagor last year. He was hurt for a good portion of the season, so we didn't get to truly see how well he could perform when healthy, but I still think you got to get another wide receiver. And Jamar Chase, again, a lot of people, they might have him as the #1 wide receiver in this class, which I definitely think you can make the case for. I think he's a great wide receiver. The fact he didn't play this year, a lot of people forgot how good he truly is, but I think if you're the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, I guess, is going to be your quarterback. Get him a few more weapons and get Jamar Chase, who again could be the wide receiver 1 for this class. The Lions, this is an interesting one as well because they just traded Matt Stafford. They do have Jared Goff coming in. A lot of people think they might be trading trading up to get a quarterback, I think Jared Goff is fine. I mean, this Lions team, they're not going to be competing for the playoffs anytime soon, so I don't think after Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, any of these quarterbacks remaining are guys you need to reach for at number 7 or probably trade up for. Now, if the Lions are trading up to get a Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, that's a different story, but I don't think they're going to be trading up or taking a quarterback with this pick if those 3 are off the board. Kenny Galladay's likely going to be gone. Marvin Jones is likely going to be gone. So with that being said, Jared Goff has to throw the ball to someone. So Jalen Waddle, again, this is a guy where in a lot of years he could be the wide receiver 1. It's a really stacked wide receiver class. So Jalen Waddle, get an offensive weapon for Jared Goff and just start building for the years to come. The Panthers are up next now, and they're in a very interesting position. Supposedly, they were trying to acquire Matthew Stafford. They were willing to give up their first-round pick and Teddy Bridgewater to get him. So obviously, Teddy Bridgewater, they don't think he's the answer. He's still in a contract for a few more years, a pretty hefty price, but obviously the Panthers are looking to upgrade the quarterback position. So I could see them going quarterback here. So I'm going to go with Trey Lance. Trey Lance, a lot of people thought he could potentially be the second or third quarterback taken before the season started, before Zach Wilson really, panned out and looked like a really good prospect. But Trey Lance, I mean, he could potentially be fighting for the quarterback starting position. Maybe the Panthers were able to trade Teddy Bridgewater this offseason and get something back for him. But Trey Lance, I really like him as a quarterback prospect. And again, the Panthers, they're looking for a quarterback other than Teddy Bridgewater. So either Trey Lance is the quarterback 2 and they just develop him for a year or 2 under Teddy Bridgewater, or they're able to get rid of that contract and Trey Lance, he can be the starting quarterback for the Panthers next year. All right, up next, we got the Denver Broncos. Now, this is another interesting one because they're a team I think also could use a quarterback. I think they've been attached to Deshaun Watson. Drew Lock, he's okay. I don't think he's a good starting quarterback moving forward. But again, they're at a spot here at number 9. I don't know if you reach for guys like Mac Jones, Kyle Trask. I don't think they do. Maybe they trade up to get one of those guys I mentioned earlier, but at 9, it's really tough to see the Broncos going quarterback unless they trade back to the mid to late first round, go quarterback there. But if they're sitting here at number 9, I think they got to go with cornerback. So then it comes down to who do you think is the better corner, Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain? And personally, I think it's a really close one, but I got to go with Patrick Surtain. I think he's the best cornerback in this draft class. So again, Broncos, you're getting a great pick there at number 9. You got the Dallas Cowboys, another team that needs cornerbacks. So I think pretty much for the most part, between those 2 cornerbacks I just mentioned, whichever one is still on the board at 10, that's a smart way to go. So Caleb Farley, you get him at number 10. Again, you can make the case he's the top cornerback in this draft class. I very well think he could be, but I think that's the safe move for the Cowboys there. I think the Giants desperately need some help offensively, but sitting here number at 11, there are some wide receivers who are appealing, but not at number 11 unless they trade back at all. I think if you're the Giants, you address defense right here, and then in the second round, you take a wide receiver because, like I said, there's a lot of talent in this wide receiver class, and I think you have a better chance of getting a really good wide receiver in the second round. I think there's a higher chance of that than getting a really good defensive player in the second round. So I'm going to go safe here, go edge, Kwity Paye. I'm going to take him at number 11, a very good player at Michigan. I did a video on him going over his history and how he got to this point, so make sure you check that video out. But again, yeah, if you're the Giants, I think they need offense, but again, there's so much talent in the second round, more so wide receivers than defensive ends. So go defense here, get a really good guy, and then get a wide receiver in the second round. All right, we got the 49ers now. They're picking at number 12, and again, a team that could use a quarterback. Are they going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo? Are they going to trade him? Are they going to go some other way? I think this 49ers team is a Super Bowl contender. The only problem is they need a quarterback to get there. I get they got to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, but that guy is not the answer. They need a really good quarterback. I don't know if a rookie quarterback is necessarily the answer to get them to the Super Bowl, so I wouldn't be shocked if the 49ers go quarterback early on if they trade back or trade up to get one. But if you're sitting here at number 12, there are a few positions I think they can address. But overall, if I'm here, I really like J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. I really think he has a chance to be one of the best cornerbacks in this draft class. I have him as my third-ranked cornerback, but this guy's a stud. He's moving up a lot of draft boards. So 49ers, I got them going with J.C. Horn. They're number 12. The Chargers, they're sitting here at 13. I think this pick is pretty easy. I think you go with the best offensive lineman available, take the best offensive tackle. The dream scenario would be they somehow get Penei Sewell to reunite him with Justin Herbert, but I don't think that's going to happen. Retron Slater out of Northwestern, I think this guy is clearly the number 2 tackle. There are some outlets out there that actually have him above Penei Sewell as the best offensive lineman in this class. I don't think that's the case, but he's a really good number 2 in any other draft class. He'd easily be the number 1 offensive lineman. If you're the Chargers and you can get him at number 13. That's quite the steal. Up next, we have the Vikings, and they can go different directions here, but I think the smart move is to address the offensive line, go from there. Samuel Cosmi, he's still sitting here on the board from Texas. I think he's a really good prospect. So I know picking an offensive lineman is boring. I know a lot of fans and teams want to see them go, offense, defense, something exciting like that. But Cosmi, a really good player. I like the pick there for the Vikings. This is a fun one for the Patriots. They need a quarterback. Is Cam Newton going to be there? Is Jarrett Stidham going to be there? Who knows? They took N'Keal Harry a few years ago in the first round from my Arizona State Sun Devils, and unfortunately, he hasn't panned out the way people thought. Julian Edelman, I think he's on the way out. They need help offensively with weapons. I don't know who's going to be quarterback, but they need to surround them with weapons, and not wide receiver. Tight end wise, we've seen how successful the Patriots been in years past with having really good tight ends. Kyle Pitts, this is a guy, he's by far the best tight end in this draft. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes in the top 10. He's that good. I could see teams trading up to get him. I think he's, one of the best tight end prospects we've seen in recent years. This dude is essentially like a wide receiver that plays tight end. That's how good he is. So Kyle Pitts, if he were to fall to the Patriots at 15, I think that would be a perfect fit. All right, now at number 16, we got the Arizona Cardinals. And again, they could go a lot of different directions. This is one I think would be a good move for them because I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do with Kenyon Drake. I don't know if he's going to be back. Chase Edmonds, I'm not exactly sure if he's the solution moving forward. So I actually got the Cardinals going with Najee Harris, running back from Alabama. He was the best running back in college football last season. And if you add him to this Cardinals offense, you already got Kyler Murray, you got DeAndre Hopkins, and now if you add a really good running back to the mix, again, Kenyon Drake, I don't think he's the answer moving forward. Chase Edmonds, he's a fine backup. But if you can get a really good starting running back, especially a guy like Najee Harris, I think it's a no-brainer. I think you got to pull the trigger there. So I got Najee Harris going to number 16 to the Cardinals. Up next, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at number 17. I cover the Raiders for SB Nation, so I know what this team needs more than anything. Well, first off, they need to draft well because the last few years, their draft has just not been the best. But they need to go defense here. It doesn't really matter where they go. They need to get defense somehow. So I'm going to go with the edge. I think Gregory Rousseau, I know he's been slipping down draft boards. A lot of people have him falling to the 20s right now. I still think the talent's there. I think he's a great prospect. If you can get him at number 17, again, there's a risk there. We didn't see him last year. He only has 1 year really of good footage and good film. But I think Rousseau, I think he has a chance to be an absolute stud. And if you're the Raiders, you're sitting there at 17, you need to take a chance on someone who you think could potentially be a Pro Bowl type player there. So he might not be the safest pick at 17, but I definitely think out of all the players they could potentially pick from, he has the most upside. All right, we got the Dolphins now with their second first-round pick. We went wide receiver with their first one, having them take Devontae Smith. I think here you got to go defense. You got to address the defense here. Linebackers, looking at linebackers, Micah Parsons is still on the board. Micah Parsons was a guy that we thought can go top 10. He still very well can go top 10. He has been sliding in recent weeks, but I think getting him at number 18, again, you can make the case he's the best linebacker in this class. So if you're the Dolphins, you're getting the best wide receiver, you're getting the best linebacker. I think that's a really good first round for them so far. The Washington football team, they're another team that's in a very interesting spot. They made the playoffs with Alex Smith. He's likely going to be back in 2021, but I don't know necessarily if, Washington's going to want to build with him moving forward. Maybe they will, but they do need a quarterback. They were interested in Matthew Stafford, so it shows they're willing to make a move. So I actually got them going quarterback. I'm going to have them taking Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. This is a perfect situation, I think, because I don't think Washington is just quite ready to, be competing for a Super Bowl. They did reach the playoffs this past year, but they went 7-9, I think, something like that. So they weren't that good of a team. They did show improvement. I say run it back with Alex Smith for another year, develop your talent, have Mac Jones behind Alex Smith, learning from one of the best quarterbacks over the last 15, 20 years. And then in 2022, if Alex Smith leaves, you have Mac Jones as your starting quarterback, and hopefully he can replicate what he did at Alabama. So this is a pick, not necessarily for this upcoming year, but a year down the line. Again, it seems like every team, which is why this draft is going to be so interesting, it seems like almost every team could use a quarterback. Now, do the Bears make a move? I'm not exactly certain. There were some rumors that they're trying to be trading for Carson Wentz, so maybe the Bears have Carson Wentz. For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that they make that trade so they don't necessarily need a quarterback, because they're going to have Mitchell Trubisky as the backup, or Nick Foles, whoever's still there. So I'm going to have them going offensive lineman, offensive tackle, Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. In most years, he'd be the number 1 or number 2 offensive lineman, but it's a very stacked class, but I still think he's a really good pick. So if you're the Bears, make a safe pick, work on that O-line, and get Christian Darrisaw here at number 20. Look at that, the Colts, another team that could use a quarterback. Phillip Rivers is gone. Is Jacoby Brissett the answer? I don't think so. They were a team that was interested in Matthew Stafford, so obviously they're looking to build at the quarterback position. But again, this is a spot where unless the Colts are trading up, I just can't see them taking Kyle Trask here at number 21. I think that's too much of a reach for him. Maybe at the end of the first round, early second, Kyle Trask is a guy, but I just don't think he's worth a pick at 21. But whoever they have at quarterback, I think you got to get him a few more weapons. Now, I know the Colts took Michael Pittman last year. He had a pretty okay rookie season. I think you got to go another wide receiver. I think you got to build that offense, and it just comes down to which wide receiver do you like the best here. I think Rashad Bateman. I think he's a good pick here for the Colts, so they go him at number 21. Up next, we have the Titans, and I think they go defense here. I think it's the smart move for them. So it's just a matter of who's on the board, who's the best defensive player available on the board. Joseph Asai, I mean, he's sitting here at 22. I think he'd be a great pick. I think there's a chance he can go in the top 18, top 17 or so. So if they can get him at 22, I think that's going to be a steal. So I got him going with Joseph Asai here. Up next, we have the Jets. They're making another pick. Now, they went with quarterback early on with Justin Fields at number 2, and this is one I think they need to get another playmaker. The fact that Jamison Crowder, now Jamison Crowder is a really good wide receiver. If he's your second or third best option, I'm sorry, but Jamison Crowder shouldn't be your number 1 option. It did take Denzel Mims last year, who missed some time and showed promise, but I think if you're the Jets, you got to go with another playmaker here. I'm going to have him taking wide receiver Kadarius Toney. This is a guy that is moving up draft boards. We could see him potentially being like the 3rd or 4th wide receiver taken in this draft. So if you're the Jets, you just got a great quarterback in Justin Fields. Give him another weapon in Toney. You're having a really good draft so far if you're New York. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're in a very interesting position. I could see them going a number of different directions. If Najee Harris is somehow still available at this pick, I think the Steelers should pounce on that. I think they should take Najee Harris because James Conner, I don't think he's the answer moving forward. Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, I don't know. I think if you can get a guy like Najee Harris, you make the move. But with him off the board, I don't think any running back is worth the pick here. So I think you go safe. I think you address the offensive line. If Big Ben is back there next year, maybe you got to protect him. Maybe if it's another quarterback, you still got to protect him. Elijah Vera Tucker from USC, I really like him. He's been climbing up draft boards a lot recently. Where again, in a lot of years, I think he'd be like the number 2, number 3 offensive lineman off the board. But this is such a stacked class. We can see 5 or 6 offensive linemen taken in the first 25 picks or something like that. So a lot of good talent there. I think you go the safe route, you build that offensive line, protect your quarterback, and you make the pick right there. All right, so you got the Jaguars. They're making their next pick. They took Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall, and if you're getting a guy like that could be the future of your franchise, the future of your team, you got to protect him at all costs. So I think whoever the best offensive tackle is available, you got to go with. I like Jalen Mayfield from Michigan. I mean, if there's some other names available there, go with that. It depends on, again, who you think the best prospect is at the position. I like Jalen Mayfield. Again, you got to protect Trevor Lawrence moving forward. So make the safe pick, take an offensive lineman there. So we got the Browns picking at number 26, which seems weird that the Browns are picking so late in the NFL draft because normally they're not. Normally they're picking a lot higher. You got to go defense here, so it's a matter of what position do you want to address. There are some other defensive positions I think they might have a bigger need for, but if you're sitting there at 26 and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is still sitting on the board at 26, this is a guy who, again, maybe Micah Parsons is your best linebacker. You can make a case that Jeremiah is the best linebacker in this class. If you can get him at number 26, I think you got to take a chance. So I really like him there for the Browns at number 26. You got the Ravens now at number 27. Again, they can go a lot of different directions, but I think for them, you got to go edge. Jalen Phillips from Miami, I think he's going to go higher than 27. I don't think he's necessarily going to fall to 27, but if you're the Ravens, if you're sitting there at 27, you can get a guy like Jalen Phillips, you got to nab him. All right, up next, we have the Saints, and this should be a very easy pick. I'm a Saints fan. Now, I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have the Saints going cornerback, linebacker, which I don't understand whatsoever. Now, if you watched any Saints game last year, you noticed one thing. When Michael Thomas is out, they have no wide receivers. Emmanuel Sanders is fine, but if he's your number 1 wide receiver, good luck there. I think the Saints, I think they need to address the wide receiver position. They're in a prime opportunity right here to take Terrace Marshall out of LSU. Hometown kid went to LSU, so he doesn't have to go far. I think it's a great pick. I think he's the best wide receiver on the board, and the Saints need it. The Saints need wide receiver help. Who's going to be throwing the ball next year? I'm not exactly certain, but you got to get another wide receiver because, as we saw, if something happens to Michael Thomas, you're in trouble. Again here, the Packers, for whatever reason, they said, let's take Jordan Love last year instead of, giving Aaron Rodgers more weapons for the upcoming years. So if you're the Packers, you can go a number of different ways here, but I think you got to get another wide receiver. You already got Devontae Adams. I think Allen Lazard is a solid number 2, but you got to get a third option. So it depends on who you think the next best is here. Rondale Moore if you can get Rondale Moore and he's your third best wide receiver option, he has the chance to develop into a really good wide receiver. So if you're the Packers, I give Aaron Rodgers another weapon. I mean, he only has a few years left. He might as well make this offense as good as it can be moving forward for him. Up next, we have the Bills picking at number 30. Again, that seems kind of weird, right? Seeing the Bills picking at number 30. They can go cornerback, they can go linebacker here. For some reason, every year there's like certain prospects where you think they'd be a really good fit on that team. This year for me, that's Zaven Collins from Tulsa. I think he'd be a really good fit there. I really like him as that fit. I really think he's a good linebacker. This past season, just go watch Zaven Collins highlight videos on YouTube. The guy's a stud. So to get him at the end of the first round, I think that has a chance to be one of the biggest steals in regards to defensive players taken in this upcoming draft. Up next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs picking at 31. Again, they can go a number of different directions. We saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl when offensive linemen are hurt. He gets killed out there. You need to build a really good offensive line for him. So again, whoever the best offensive lineman you think is up to this point in the draft, I think you got to go with them there. I like Alex Leatherwood, but I think the talent's there. I think he's a really good prospect. So Alex Leatherwood, again, whoever the best tackle you think is, you got to go with him there. All right, so that brings us now to pick number 32, the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be an interesting offseason for them because they could lose Chris Godwin, who's going to be a free agent. They could lose Antonio Brown. So if they were to lose both those wide receivers, I get they still have Mike Evans, but I don't think you necessarily want Scotty Miller to be your number 2 wide receiver. So I think they're going to go wide receiver. Elijah Moore, he's really low on these rankings. I think Elijah Moore is one of the best wide receiver prospects in this draft. So I have the Buccaneers. Again, that's assuming Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown both leave. There's a chance they both can come back, but in the chance they both are gone, I got them going wide receiver. I got them taking Elijah Moore there. So that wraps up this draft. I'm just going to skim through it really quickly so that way you guys can just take one final glance at who I picked and where exactly they fell in the draft. Like I said, guys, I'm going to be doing a lot of mock drafts leading up to the NFL draft. I did buy this package so I can do trades moving forward, which is going to be a lot of fun. Doing a 1 through 32 is kind of basic because you know that certain teams in certain spots, they're likely not going to be sitting there. So it's going to be a lot of fun in the coming weeks. I don't know exactly how often I'm going to be doing a mock draft. Maybe one mock draft every 2 weeks, something like that. I definitely want to do at least one a month. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below as to what mock drafts you want to see in the future. Again, drop comments down below as to what teams you think are going to be trading out of their spot, what teams you think are going to be trading up in the draft, because I want to do a whole bunch of hypothetical situations. I want to do a whole bunch of different scenarios, because as we've seen in years past, anything can happen in the NFL draft. Anything can go down. I don't know, like in the last 10 years, the record for most trades in the first round, but whatever that is, I think that this draft is going to set that record. I think there's going to be a lot of trades. It's going to be a lot of fun. So as always, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. A lot of college football content coming in the next few months. So if you're a huge college football fan, this is definitely the place for you. So as always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.